Take whatever.
Good evening and welcome to the France Report.
Well, let's get started.
First thing on our list are the conditions in France.
Instead of discussing the terrible conditions of France, let's show our viewers.
Take 280.
Take 800.
Well, that was definitely something else, wasn't it, Hannah?
Yes, it was. It was sad to see everyone living within those poor little cities with so little sanitation and seeing how everyone was forced to live.
Also, the country being in such high debt because of many of the poor to become even poorer.
What's even worse is that everyone below the nobles had to pay taxes when they could barely manage on their own. Yet the nobles and the people above the nobles could do whatever they wanted since they didn't have the taxes that everyone else had.
Well, let's move on. Next on our list, we have the estate system.
Yes, the estate system. Well, the estate system is a division of the groups. There was a clergy who had the privilege of taxing everyone to avoid paying taxes themselves, the nobles and kings who taxed everyone else and lived tax-free, and the peasants who paid for everyone else through taxes.
That's terrible. Well, we do have a showing of the meeting of the Estates General.
We have our reporters, Abby and Kayla, on site now. Let's join them.
See, I'm here with Kayla at the General Estates meeting.
Yes, we're here listening in as the three general estates are discussing the general fiscal form.
King Louis XIV called the meeting for a chief purpose, which was to obtain the Assembly's consent to a general fiscal reform.
This is the first meeting since 1614 of the French Estates General.
Well, that wraps up the Estates General. Back to you in the studio.
Take 815.
Thank you, Kayla and Abby, for that on-site report.
Next, we have the tennis court oath.
Yes, of course. The tennis court oath was a pivotal event that occurred during the first few days of the French Revolution.
The oath was signed by 576 of the 577 members, and the oath stated that whoever signed would not disband until a new French constitution was adopted.
Just a short fact, the tennis court oath was actually signed on an indoor tennis court named Jeu de Paume.
We actually have a short clip of the signing. Let's put that up now.
Team.
Seems legit. Yeah, it really does. I mean, I wish we had some money for some for tables. It's cold court, man. It's just not good.
It sucks.
Take 900.
Continuing on the French Revolution, the Bastille was formed on July 14th.
Let's go to Kayla and Abby for another on-site report of what happened at the state prison. Take 921.
We are here on the now deserted Bastille prison.
This prison is where many of the members of the French Revolution who signed the tennis court oath believed the ammunition was stored. The storming of this prison is what officially started the French Revolution.
The fall of the prison signified the end of Louis XIV because it became clear that he couldn't handle the political ties of France. Now back to you in the studio.
Take 923. Thanks again for that on-site report.
Moving right along, the Declaration of the Rights of Man was signed on August 26, 1789, after it was approved by the National Assembly.
This presented to the world a summary of ideals and principles of the revolution, and justified the destruction of a government based upon absolutism and privilege, and the establishment of new regime based upon the
Inalienable rights of individuals, liberty, and political equality. The Declaration became the preamble to the Constitution of 1791.
The Declaration was theorized by French philosopher Rousseau, and separation of powers adopted by Baron de Montesquieu. It was prepared and proposed by Marquis de Lafayette.
This declaration was important because it was a fundamental document of the French Revolution and in the history of human rights.
Next, we have an on-site report from Trey and Jarrell on the March of Versailles.
We have a group of women revolting against the king over increased bread prices.
This is considered a great influence of the French Revolution.
This march will definitely throw the king out of control and give control back to the commoners. Now back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Trey and Jarrell, for that insightful report.
Moving along, we have first French Republic, which occurred between 1792 and 1804.
The Republic followed the Revolution of 1789 and the abolishment of the monarchy. It was established on September 22, 1792.
At the first meeting, the convention decided to try King Louis XIV for treason. The king was found guilty and executed on January 21, 1973. His execution led to an extreme resistance throughout Europe.
After that, the Reign of Terror began.
The Reign of Terror began in the early months of 1793 when the Jacobin leader Maximilian Robespierre started to slowly gain power.
Let's go to Kayla and Abby on site with Robespierre and a supporter for more information the subject.
Take 3.
Now, Robespierre, would you like to explain your changes to the calendar?
Robespierre completely changed the calendar all around.
As my supporter stated, I changed the calendar completely. There are about 12 months in a year, and each month is now 30 days. I also renamed each month.
The new calendar also has no Sundays. Will you explain why that is?
Religion is old-fashioned and dangerous. Why should I have a religious day if religion is just terrible?
You shouldn't. Religion is bad, sir.
What else have you done to eliminate religion?
You closed all the churches in Paris.
I also closed main churches in other significant cities.
Well, that's all we have time for. Back to you in the studio.
That Robespierre is one mixed-up guy.
Yes, he is, but after his reign of terror, Napoleon came through.
Yes, the great rise of Napoleon.
It all started when Napoleon came back from the battle in Egypt right as the government was falling apart. His friends actually urged him to take power.
Napoleon took action in November when his troops surrounded the National Legislature and drove out most of its members. The remaining lawmakers dissolved the Directory and established a government with 3 councils.
Napoleon, of course, took the title of the first consul and assumed the powers of a dictator. His coup occurred while France was still at war. Britain, Austria, and Russia all wanted Napoleon out of office, but they signed a peace treaty in 1802.
Let's now send it to Abby reporting on Napoleon's invasion of Russia.
Hello, everyone. I'm here in Moscow with Alexander I. Now, Alexander, what was it like when you saw Napoleon's army of 4,200,000 soldiers coming up on your much smaller army?
Well, I immediately knew that I would lose, so I retreated when I saw the size of the army.
You also used a tactic to keep Napoleon's army from being able to eat. Would you mind telling us about this tactic?
The tactic I used was the scorched earth policy. What you do is, while retreating, you burn every grain field and kill all livestock while on your way back to base. We ate what we wanted on our way back and destroyed what we didn't want. We tried to kill as much of Napoleon's army as we possibly could by destroying everything that we came across.
What else happened while you were battling with Napoleon?
Our armies finally clashed at the Battle of Borodino. The battle lasted for hours, and eventually my army fell back. Napoleon then moved to Moscow and found the city empty because we had already burned and destroyed.
And why would you destroy your holy city?
We decided that burning our own holy city would be better than letting Napoleon have it.
That makes sense. What else happened while Napoleon was trying to invade Russia?
Well, after Napoleon found the city in ruins, he decided to stay there until October, when the raiders decided to attack Napoleon's army in November. The Russian raiders won, thus starting the fall of Napoleon.
Thank you for your insight on the invasion, Alexander. Now back to Hannah and Rachel in the studio.
15.
Well, Alexander put it best when he said that the failed invasion led to Napoleon's downfall.
Yes, he did. Now we can hear about his final defeat from him with a report from Kayla.
Hello again, everyone. I'm here with Napoleon to speak about his final losses in battle. Napoleon, where did it all begin?
Well, it all began in 1812 when I started to encounter my first significant defeats. I suffered through 7 disastrous invasions of Russia, then I lost to Spain and endured a total defeat against an allied force in 1814.
Well, it seems like you bit off a little more than you could chew with battles and invasions.
I evidently did. Russia was just too powerful once I started losing men.
Well, you did better against the Prussians, correct?
Yes, much better against the Prussians. I defeated the Prussians against Gerhard, whatever his name was, it doesn't really matter. And I sent 33,000 men after the retreating Prussians.
What happened after that?
Well, I took my remaining 72,000 troops to fight against the Duke of Wellington's allied army of 68,000 men.
How did that go?
Well, Blücher's retreating troops had an advantage over the troops I sent after them because of a rain delay. The retreating Prussians circled around to help Wellington's men and launched an early attack which forced my men to retreat. I returned to Paris where I exiled.
So now you live here in St. Helena and have been here for about 6 years. How is this going for you?
Well, I've been diagnosed with stomach cancer and I'm expected to die very soon.
Well, I'm very sorry for your medical condition, but thank you for participating in this interview.
Of course.